planned a trip with my friends. I said, okay, we've reached the point that I have to have surgery. Clearly I'm on the way out. But what are the things that I want to do just in case? I booked brunch with all of my friends. I didn't tell them what was happening, but I was like, I need to see all of you. It was almost like I was getting ready to go. But I said, there's so much I have to do. I have to stay alive. I have to see Beyonce.
Welcome back to Only Feelings Are Real, a series by Kai Collective of conversations centered around the human experience and human relationships. I am so happy to be back here with you guys today. And I have a very special guest.
Hello.
Tisha.
Nice to meet you.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
And today we're just going to be talking to Tisha about living through illness with uncertainty and how she's navigating that, and get to know more about her as well as what she's been through. So yeah, let's get into it. Who is Tisha?
Tisha is an aspiring soft babe. A new lover of life. I love sunsets and afternoon tea. I like to read. I've read 26 books this year already. Want to keep going. I like to write. I like peace. It doesn't always find me, but that's what I'm hoping for. I'm very simple. Yeah.
What was your childhood like? Did you enjoy it?
I am a firstborn daughter. So I think that in itself says a lot. I enjoyed my childhood, but I think due to circumstances that were outside of my control, it was cut quite short. I feel like from the age of like 10, I was very much doing adulthood. And I didn't realize that until recently. I kept waiting to get to that adulthood stage, and then I realized I was already in it. Yeah, so my early years were fun. They were good. I have really good memories. And then I would say as young as 12, 13, I really started to struggle mentally. And at the time, I didn't understand what that meant or what that looked like. I didn't really understand what I was going through. I didn't know how to express that. But now looking back, I can see that some of the issues that I faced in my adulthood started when I should have been a child.
You shared with us that you are battling an extremely rare vascular disease and recently underwent brain surgery. Can you please share with us what your illness is as far as you understand it?
Yeah, not a doctor, so I'll do my best with the terms. So I suffer from something called Moyamoya disease. It's extremely rare. I don't know anyone that has it besides myself. According to the few stats that we have, it affects 0.0005% of the population. And essentially, it's when your brain starts to shut down for no reason whatsoever. So you have two major arteries that go all the way from your spine through your neck into your brain. And one of mine is blocked. Sis has clocked out. She's not turning up for her shift anymore. She says she's tired. So as a result, it means that one half of my brain just doesn't get enough oxygen. And when doctors first explained this to me, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I've been doing this life for now 27 years. But I've been having migraines from when I was a child. So I think I mentioned around like 10, things started to dip. I've been having really bad migraines. And I found out recently that it's because there just isn't enough blood flow. So to try and compensate, the brain will almost grow these really, really small, delicate blood vessels. But they can rupture at any point. If you stress too much, they can rupture. And stress doesn't have to be extreme stress. It can be crying, it can be laughing, it could be dancing too hard. When Renaissance came out, a couple of things happened. And so you're susceptible to strokes, because if a blood vessel bursts, then you have a bleed in the brain. You're also susceptible to ischemic strokes, which is when you just don't have enough oxygen. So if you go for a run and you get tired, it's not like when other people get tired, you're actually lacking oxygen in the brain. So yeah, I suffered my first stroke at the age of 25. I woke up one morning and I could not move the left side of my body. I thought, I'm tired, I'm gonna go back to bed. Very glad that I didn't. And yeah, I've had multiple strokes since. Unfortunately, there is no cure for the disease. The only treatment is the brain surgery, which I've had. And it's difficult to say if it's successful because doctors don't necessarily know what should happen after. It's extremely rare. I've spoken to a lot of doctors that don't even know what I'm talking about when I've told them what I have. I've spoken to doctors who are aware, but they don't want to go there, they don't want to touch me. I was very grateful to find a doctor after over a year who was willing to treat me and look after me, and I'm under his care now. But that is essentially what Moya Moya is, and how I found out that I had it. I don't know how long I've had it for, but I do know that I've been having migraines since the age of 10. Yeah, so I'm a Moya Moya warrior / stroke survivor, multiple stroke survivor.
Yeah, well, so glad to have you here with us
Thank you,
today.
glad to be here.
When you compare Tisha now to Tisha before illness, before you found out what you were suffering from, what has changed?
It fluctuates, it's a journey. I think at the beginning, I was just so confused. I felt like, given that I had been dealing with bad mental health for so long and had many moments where I wanted my life to end, I was angry. I thought, how did I have this stroke and I'm still here? Like, this could have been my way out. And then I have moments where I'm so grateful to be here, so grateful to be alive, so grateful to do things and have opportunities to do things. And that's a hope that I didn't have before. So despite the challenges, I have a new sense of hope. I also don't tolerate things the way I used to. You're not going to stress me. You're never going to try. I will block. I will delete. You will forget that I exist. I will forget that you exist. We are not going to raise the blood pressure because I know how dangerous that can be for me. I would say I'm more chill. I just do things that I feel like doing because I know what it feels like to see your life and to feel like you're losing it. So I don't question things as much as I used to, which worries some people. They think I don't question things enough, but the old me questioned everything and second-guessed everything. I was never free to just live life. I had to analyze everything. I'm an analyst. I'll make a spreadsheet for the smallest thing. We need the numbers, we need the red, the yellow, the green. We don't just do things. Now I'm a bit more free. I'll wake up and book a flight and go somewhere. I'll buy a bag. I'll buy a wig. I'll pierce my ears again. Things I wouldn't have done before because not that I don't value my life, I value it a lot more, but I'm less careful with how I do things that in the grand scheme of things are pretty harmless.
It really sounds like you've chosen yourself. And even though illness is, I mean, you don't choose to be in that situation, but it sounds like it's unleashed a freer version of you, like Tisha 2.0.
Yes.
Someone that, I don't know, you sound like you're your own friend.
I had to be because I lost so many. They say that when big milestones happen in your life, you realize who your friends are. I moved out to live on my own shortly before this happened. And that was one stage of life where I realized who my friends were. And then when I got sick, I said, oh, so you people don't love me at all. There were some people that the more I started to understand the disease, the more they pulled away. I even had one friend who said, this makes me too upset, I can't talk to you about it anymore. And I thought, I wake up and I live with this every day. Sometimes I would wake up and I couldn't move my arm. Sometimes I would wake up with the worst headache. Sometimes I'd wake up so tired I couldn't get out of bed. And I'm telling someone that I thought I could confide in and they're like, oh, I don't want to talk about this, it makes me sad. So I had to become my own friend because there were some really, really dark moments that looking back, I honestly don't know how I got through them. I still haven't figured out what kept me going through some of those darkest points. But yeah, I'm excited for 2.0, the version that I'm becoming and the version that I have the opportunity to be.
Was there a pivotal moment, like one day when you woke up and you were like, you had that new lease of life where you really chose yourself and you were unwilling to tolerate some of the things you used to tolerate? You felt a little braver to do new things. Was there one moment where you,
Yeah, so I had the stroke in May of 2022. I was in hospital for about a month, and then in December, I got a call from a doctor I'd never met in my life saying, oh, we need to do brain surgery. I said, I'm going to Nigeria, like, I'm about to enjoy my life. I'm so sorry, we'll deal with this when I come back. Told my mom, she didn't want me to travel. I said, I'm going. Came back, tried to speak to the doctor, January, February, March, April, did not hear from him. But the appointment that I had at the end of January, another doctor came in who didn't know anything about the disease. He sat me down, he said, I can't tell you anything about what this means, but I can show you your scans. And when he showed me my scan and I saw that literally 50% of my brain, there was no activity, there was no blood flow, that was when I think I felt the most fear, but I also felt the most alive. It was a very strange thing to consider. I bought my Beyonce tickets, I planned a trip with my friends. I said, okay, we've reached the point that I have to have surgery. Clearly I'm on the way out. But what are the things that I want to do just in case? I booked brunch with all of my friends. I didn't tell them what was happening, but I was like, I need to see all of you. It was almost like I was getting ready to go. But I said, there's so much I have to do. I have to stay alive. I have to see Beyonce. She's not going to transition from Cuff It to Energy, and I'm not going to be there. That doesn't make any sense.
Priority.
I need to be there. So I said to him, yeah, if you want to do the surgery, you can do it, but it has to be in June because Beyonce's in May. Also, I didn't want to spend another birthday in hospital. My birthday was in May. I don't know if I mentioned, but I had the stroke the day before my 26th birthday. So birthdays were just ruined for me. So yeah, I would say when I saw my brain and I saw that nothing was happening, that was when I kind of had this boost and I was like, I need to enjoy this life because I've been miserable for so long. And if I only have a few months or a few years, then I want to make sure that I've done the best that I can with it.
What does it feel like to be at the point where you're like, I might not be here for much longer, so I want to see my friends. I want to make sure I've seen Beyonce. I want to travel. What does it feel like to face your mortality in that way?
It's rough. There are some days, like I said, where I get excited and I want to do things. There are definitely, I would say, more days where I lie in bed and it's like, what's the point? But given that I had struggled with my mental health for so many years and made attempts on my life, there were moments where I just had to accept that there has to be a reason why I'm here. There's been too many opportunities for me to leave this life as we know it. There's been too many occasions where things could have ended. And like I said, I was angry at some points that I was still around. But it did get to the point that I was like, Tisha, there has to be something that you're here for. Whether it's the book you want to write, the people that you want to meet, things that you get to experience that don't impact anyone else. That is what I have to remind myself of when I think about the fact that I might not wake up tomorrow. But it's hard. I cry, and when doctors told me that crying could initiate or trigger strokes, I thought this is so cruel because I am a crier. Happy tears, sad tears, I like to cry. So being told that I couldn't even do that was horrible. Being told that I couldn't go to the gym because exercise was good for my mental health. Being told that I couldn't dance too much. I had to stop listening to Renaissance. Wow. Because I would get so excited when I heard it. I was like, maybe this is too much. And I think I became over-conscious or over-cautious, and I was very anxious because it was like, will this give me a stroke? Should I just lie still? And there were moments where I would be lying still, and the next thing you know, my leg is tingling and I can feel it going. So it was just really confusing because everybody's time is limited. But knowing that yours is maybe a little more limited than someone else's is scary. And it's lonely because not a lot of people understood what I was going through. There was a lot of, we understand, you will never fully understand. I don't even understand. And to go through that so young when your friends are getting married, they're buying properties, they're starting new jobs. I'm like, I don't even know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. That was tough, and it still is tough because Moya Moya has no cure. So even though I've had the surgery, it's still something that I face every day. But I'm in a season of just being grateful for the time that I have and making the most of it.
On those days where you're lying in bed and you're finding it really difficult to get out, what gets you out eventually?
Eventually is a good word because sometimes I don't. Work, I still have to work. I still have bills to pay. I think one of the hardest things to come to terms with the fact that life doesn't stop because you're sick. Life doesn't stop because you have a problem. The rest of your problems still continue. Family issues still continue. Relationship issues still continue. Work issues still continue. I didn't have the luxury, besides weekends, of not doing anything and wallowing in self-pity because there were other things I needed to get done. On the days that I did have the luxury, I would talk to my friends, those that stayed, those that were supportive. I would do my best to go to church and try and get out of the house. Because also for the longest time, I didn't want people to know what I was going through. So being outside and forcing myself to put on a brave face kind of tricked my mind into thinking that things were okay, even if only temporarily.
How has illness changed your friendships? You've mentioned friendships a lot during this conversation.
I think it taught me what I want from friends. I always knew what I was able to give, but I'd never really thought about what I wanted to receive. I was just happy to have people around. I realized that having people around wasn't going to be enough anymore. Sending me memes isn't going to be enough. I need you to ask me how I am. I need you sometimes to go grocery shopping for me. I need you to pick me up because I can't drive. And it wasn't that I wanted them to serve me, but it got to the point where I realized what my love language was and how I wanted to be loved by my friends and my family. And I'm very grateful for those that tolerated me. I can appreciate that I might have been a nightmare at some points. But yeah, it taught me what I value and allowed me to prioritize those things. I stopped keeping people around just because we've been friends for 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. If you're not serving me through what is the hardest point in my life, it doesn't mean we never have to speak again, but we need to create some distance because I needed the space to be expressive with what I was dealing with.
Yeah. Who is the one person that has really been there for you through this, and how have they supported you?
I'm going to say two. Can I say two?
Of course.
Okay. The first would be my brother. I have two brothers, but one in particular was there with me physically. He would come to my place every week. We'd sit down and watch films. We'd argue. He'd go back home. He allowed me to feel all of my emotions. And then my friend, Leonie, she actually lives in Ghana, so she was there virtually. We speak every day. All day, every day. I'll send her a voice note. It could be 37 minutes long, and she'll sit down and listen and cry with me and laugh with me. And I really appreciate that the both of them allowed me to feel all of the emotions. There were people that would get frustrated because, like I say, one day I have a very positive perspective, and then it could be another 6 days where I'm really low. And the fluctuation was difficult for people to handle. They really gave me the space to feel everything that I was feeling and to be honest about it too. When people are depressed or anxious or have low mental health, it's very difficult to express that openly because everyone's like, oh, just be grateful. You have this, you have that. And there were times I didn't want to be grateful. I wanted to be sad and I wanted to be angry. And they both allowed me to do that without any judgment to this day. So I'm very grateful for them both.
Yeah. So it sounds like what you appreciate most from friends and the people around you is allowing you to be you and being comfortable sitting with you, going through it with you.
Yeah.
How else would you say that your friends or anyone around you can better support you at this time?
It's tricky because there is no solution, ultimately. There is no cure. Unless there's a miracle, this is something that I'll deal with for however long my life is. So it's helpful for people to not say, you're going to get better. I believe you're going to get better. Because I had to process and accept that I might not. I had to accept that maybe this is as good as it gets for me, and how do I deal with that? And that's a lonely place to be in. So having people around helps. When my friends come and visit me, I'm over the moon. I love hosting. Having people, again, that give me that space, people that I can laugh with. I don't want to forget my problems. I have to be conscious in order to protect myself and look after myself, but I also don't want to dwell on them. So just having the space to feel the things that I feel and to be honest and to be vulnerable and not to hear, oh, God's going to do this, God's going to do that, because God might not. Maybe this is part of my story. Maybe this is where I'm supposed to be. And I need other people to be okay with that too, so that I can be okay with it.
You told me earlier that your faith has been really instrumental on your journey. So I find it interesting that you don't just want to hear, you'll be okay, God will do this. So how has your faith been instrumental? It's
been interesting because at my lowest points, I felt like God wasn't there. People joke about being God's strongest soldier. I said, I don't want to go to any war. I'm tired of being in this army. It's been a long battle. But at the same time, when you feel like you have nothing left, then you have nothing to lose by believing in God. I had nothing to lose by having this faith. And there's one particular verse that has really kept me going. It's Isaiah 41 verse 10. And honestly, I don't even know the full verse. I don't need to. All I know is that it says that God is with you. And I believe that God is love. And having that love and feeling that that love surrounds me, even in my darkest moments, and feeling that regardless, something good will come out of it. Even if it's just that I got to go and see Beyonce, I've had to accept that that is enough in that moment, and the next day we'll find the next thing that is enough. So my relationship with God got closer in the sense that I couldn't depend on anything else. I couldn't depend on people. I couldn't depend on doctors. This was a problem that I couldn't solve myself. So it's like, well, this is the only thing that's left that I know about. So we'll dwell on that.
Have you had any moments where you felt like a huge conviction, like God is real, like this is real?
So there was a time I went in for another scan, and the doctor said, oh, we can see that there's been a second bleed in your brain. So at this point, I had multiple TIAs, those are mini strokes, but I didn't realize that I was having more major strokes as well. And I remember saying to him, how am I still functioning? Like, how does any of this make sense? And he said to me, I don't know. That was the moment when I was like, yeah, there's something is going to come out of this. Because the first stroke, I was aware, I felt it in my body. This second one, I don't even know when it happened. So that means I've been going about my days, dealing with this pain, dealing with this tiredness and this fatigue, and someone has been saving me. That was when I realized that God loved me in a way that no one else ever really could. And I tried to share how I feel that love with the people that show love to me.
Yeah. It really sounds like you're here for a reason. Do you have any idea what that reason is?
I'm excited to find out. I enjoy reading, like I said. I write a lot. Writing is very therapeutic for me. It's healing for me. It's something that my therapist has told me to do because it's a good way for me to express myself. I no longer know if that's what I'm here to do. I feel like it's something bigger, but I'm not searching for it. I'm just going to enjoy my days and let it come to me naturally. I spent a lot of years searching and then everything kind of paused. So I'm just waiting for things to flow to me. As a lady of leisure and a soft babe, the things can come to me. I'm not looking for them anymore. When my mental health is bad and my stress is bad, I feel it in my body. It definitely affects the illness. So being in Bali, where the weather was warm, there was sunshine, I was close to the ocean, that was great. But I think it was more so the people that I was with. This was in the same year that I had lost so many friends. People had pretty much abandoned me. And I had made one new friend. We weren't really close. And she said, oh, we're going to Bali. Do you want to come? And I was flip-flopping. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to travel. Eventually, I just said, you know, I'm going to book the flight. I'm going to go. And so I went with a group of ladies who I barely knew. And I had never experienced support like that from strangers. They were so welcoming, so open, so accommodating to what I could and couldn't do. They didn't know the details, but they were careful. They didn't want to be all in my business. We were just there to have fun. And it just felt so pure, and I'm very close to all of them now. But it was the first time I had been around people that I didn't know prior who treated me so well. And I came home and I thought, I want to experience that again. I want to experience this joy and this love again. I can't afford to not be here. And it was actually in that moment that I finally decided to have the surgery, because I thought I want to do as much as I can to prolong my life. Prior to that, I was completely against the surgery. I wasn't going to have it. I was going to take my chances and see where I ended up.
Yeah, you've really chosen yourself, even through a difficult situation. And that is something that I really, 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 really admire. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. How does wearing colorful clothing, like when you wear Kai, how do you feel?
It makes me feel alive. It makes me feel intentional. I think it's so easy to put on something black and fall behind and be forgotten. When I'm wearing color, you're going to see me. Even having my hair blonde, you're not going to miss me on the street. Sometimes when I want to tone it down, I'm like, okay, let's not wear the blonde wig today. But for the most part, like, no, people need to see me. I'm here. Yeah. And Kai makes me feel that way. It's always made me feel that way. I'm a massive lover of the brand. So when you asked me to be, I was like, of course. But no, it makes me feel unique. Yeah. The pieces are very unique. The organza shirt, the original one, there was someone that thought that I had it specially made because I wear it all the time. But I appreciate being able, like I said at the beginning, to express myself in different ways and to try new things. I haven't always been the most confident in like my body and how I look, so finding pieces that work with me, I'm really discovering my style as well as discovering who I am is exciting for me.
Have you had any physical changes from illness?
So there was permanent damage after the first stroke, but I didn't realise for quite a while. The reason being that it's only when I pushed myself to certain physical limits, and at the beginning I was so tired that I wasn't pushing myself at all. I was sleeping maybe 16 hours a day, and I would wake up and I would still be tired. So besides being exhausted, I've just noticed that I'm less fit. One, because of the lack of oxygen, but also because I had to stop exercising, I think my body just became quite lazy. So I'm trying to build that back up, even if it's just walking for an hour a day. But I'm very grateful and very lucky that I don't look like my problems. When people see me, they don't know what I'm dealing with. And sometimes that makes it tricky because you don't get the support that you need because people can't see it. And I think that goes for a lot of invisible illnesses. But I'm grateful that tiredness, fatigue is really the only physical ailment that I have.
Is there anything you wish people understood better about you?
That I'm not making things up. When people hear about what has happened to me in the last 2 years, but also the horrific things that happened in the years before, I did have one friend who said to me, Tisha, if I didn't know you, I'd think you were lying. Like, all of these things don't happen to one person. I didn't choose any of this. So when I complain about it, it's coming deep. I'm not complaining to get attention. I'm grateful for what I have, and I'm grateful for everyone that has supported me. But I sometimes wonder if I could have learned all of these lessons without all of the hardship. There were lessons that I learned at 13 that maybe I could have learned at 26. So I would like people to understand that I need a bit of grace, that I'm only just learning to take things slow, to be chill, and also to receive support. As the firstborn daughter, you're doing everything for your parents, for yourself, for your siblings. This is the first time I've really had to stop and allow people to do things for me. And that was really difficult. Letting go of that control was extremely tough. Things like going to church, because I couldn't drive, I wouldn't go. And people would say, we'll give you a lift. And I'd say, yeah, sure. And then on the day say, I'm not coming, because I didn't want people to do things. I wanted to be independent. So I think I want people to understand that I need grace to adjust to this new life, to adjust to being somewhat dependent. And also, while I'm discovering who I am, it's kind of a blessing that I get to start life again. And explore what I enjoy and what I don't, and let go of who I want to, and they can't question it because I'm the girl that survived brain surgery. I use it a lot. I use it for everything. Tisha, I'm surviving brain surgery. So yeah, I would like grace to discover.
Yeah. Describe the future you hope for.
Peaceful. As healthy as I can be, even if that means it stays where it is now. I'm okay with that. Love, even if it's not romantic. Maybe not meet the love of my life, that's a bit of a stretch. But something small.
That's no stretch.
It feels like a stretch to me.
Why?
Dating became very difficult when I got my diagnosis. I didn't understand it, so I couldn't fully explain it to people that I was seeing. And people can be nasty. And there were people that I explained it to that would almost use it against me. Like, if a relationship maybe isn't working out and they can't think of anything else to say, they'll turn it on something that you have no control over. So that kind of made me a bit more reserved. Ultimately scared today, it's the word that I would use. I don't think I'm in the position to open myself up like that again. At least not now while I'm still healing and in recovery. Also, like I said, I don't tolerate stress, and relationships are difficult. So if you're stressing me, you gotta go, I'm so sorry. And excitement. Prior to everything that happened, I was very focused on money and work and climbing the corporate ladder. It's not that I don't care about that anymore, but I value it a whole lot less. If I've only got 6 days left to live, I'm not gonna log into work. I'm not sending out any emails. We're going to do something fun. We're going to go shopping. We're going to go to the beach. We're going to eat food. I also hope that in the future I can appreciate my body a lot more. I was very harsh on myself, the way I looked, the way I felt mentally. Now that I've seen my brain, I'm like, Tisha, you did so much while you were essentially disabled. So be grateful for how your body continues to support you through everything that you want to do. Yeah, I want to have more respect for my body.
One thing that a lot of people struggle with, myself included, is uncertainty. Like, we want to know what is happening at all times. And living with, you know, moya moya, it's a bit uncertain. So what is your relationship with uncertainty?
I think it links to me wanting to get rid of control. I think during the pandemic, which is kind of still going on, a lot of people learned to let go of control because we couldn't control what we could do. And I think I learned a bit, but when I got sick, control was completely stripped from me. Doctors couldn't tell me how long I'd had the disease for. They couldn't tell me the risk of me having a stroke. Like, there were no numbers whatsoever. So the uncertainty has stayed with me. And I think at the beginning, there was like a constant state of panic. Not as much anymore. But I have just accepted that I cannot control anything that's happening. And the irony is that I could never control it. We're never really in control. But now I've really had to sit with that, and I really believe it wholeheartedly. If I need to go somewhere and I miss my train, I don't stress about it because I'm like, there's a reason I'm not supposed to be on that train. Whereas before, can I get Uber? Can I get a bus? Can I run? I no longer hold things with so much weight because I know that ultimately it's not in my control. I don't necessarily believe in the multiverse, but I do like Marvel. And if there's a timeline, like, it's already happened anyway, so there's no point stressing about it now. But yeah, uncertainty is probably the toughest part of this disease. But today, at least today, I have hope. Maybe tomorrow I might not, but for today we have hope. And I just have to enjoy it and embrace it while I have it.
Thank you. I really, really, really loved speaking to you. You are so beautiful. You have such a beautiful mindset and so much to learn from you. Where can we find you?
So I'm on Instagram. I don't really do much there. But
you started a blog?
I have started a blog because I want to express myself in a more fashionable way without breaking the bank. So the aim is to really almost be an outfit repeater, still buy clothes, of course, but see how many looks I can make with one piece and really experiment and explore my style, because I don't think I've ever really had one before. So that is called Minimal Diaries, and it just started. But that is something exciting that I'm doing because I have a bit more time, so why not?
Okay, well, we'll share it with everyone. Check out Minimal Diaries, and thank you.
Thank you.